Welcome to A Look Inside. I'm your host, Demetria Head, and today our special guest, he is back, the ambassador of instrumental soul jazz flautist, Darryl Evan Jones. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you said the word special.
Yes.
Never mind. I won't even.
Oh my goodness. So we're going to talk about The Grind. Obviously, this is one of your songs on your album that just dropped on August 16th, Resilient.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the vision you had for Grind. What were your primary creative goals for the song and eventually for the video?
Um, the song for those who may not realize it is a common expression. Stay on your grind. So your grind is whatever your personal mission is, and whatever it takes. The devotion and the toil that it takes to stay on that mission. So that was the thought behind making that song, the grind. And with that in mind, I expressed to my video director what I was thinking of was having scenes of people who were living out that parts of their journey on their grind, and that's what he encapsulated. Video director happens to be one of my sons-in-law. That's Brandon Williams, who directed and shot that. And then, of course, there were one family friend. The police officer is a family friend, and the nurse is my middle daughter, who is Brandon's wife.
Oh, Brandon B-Dub.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. He's
Good
very
guy.
sweet.
Yeah.
So when it came to the process behind developing the concept for the video, can you describe that process and how you decided on the visual elements and the themes that best represented the essence of the song?
A lot of it I left to Brandon. I kind of gave Brandon a general overview of what I had in my mind. And there were some logistical challenges because we knew we were going to shoot on location, and on location wound up being in South Florida. And, he knows the lay of the land far better than I ever would. So he chose the locations for all the shots. Including Everglades Park. If you see the video, when I'm wearing white, I'm in Everglades Park. And so he had a team with him. There were three guys, and we had a couple of pre-production meetings where we discussed what's called the treatments, or some people used to call storyboarding. And we discussed all that and bounced different ideas off of each other, including the drone shots. And so when it came to, I'm trying to remember if we shot this in 2 days. We must have. We must have, because I don't remember changing clothes at the site. So we shot it over 2 different days, and then they took care of everything in post-production.
Okay, awesome. And now I know you said that you gave a lot of the creative tasks to Brandon.
Yeah.
And you said that you ran into logistical challenges. What kind of logistical challenges? Did that also include like timing, as far as, because I know like even when people are directing and producing movies, for example, they'll say that sometimes, they don't get everything done before the last light. So did you have any of those issues?
Thankfully, we did not. And he deliberately, for the shots at Everglades Park, he deliberately chose to begin shooting late afternoon, early evening, because if I recall, at the intro of the video, there's a shot where I'm kind of silhouetted because the sun is setting behind me. He always had that shot in mind. Wasn't exactly sure what he was going to use it for, but he always knew he wanted to do that. So that was one of the easier parts. One of the more difficult parts was you're at Everglades Park. And when people hear Everglades, the only thing they think about is all the tall grass and alligators. Well, obviously, we would not have shot in that kind of a situation. Where we were, everything it's built up. The land masses are built up. and people ride bikes and they run and they walk and all that. So some of those challenges were more of just people. And then there was the issue also because I'm assuming the gators do have the ability to climb the embankment because it's just a slope
Mm-hmm.
and then come up on the land. So what they do is they have parks people
Mm-hmm.
driving the fan boats to scare them off back into the marsh. So
Oh, okay.
while we're trying to shoot, it's important that I can hear the track playing. Well, can
Mm-hmm.
you imagine trying to hear the track over a giant fan boat? So there were issues like that, but we got through it thankfully. Yeah,
Okay, well, that's good. And I did see the video. I really love the video.
thank you.
So, what emotional response did you hope to evoke from your fans, especially when it came to this particular track?
Just in encouragement.
Mhm.
Um, no no two people, regardless of their circumstance or journey, will have identical paths. I mean, you can
Mhm.
grow up in the same house, and even if you have the same vision, your paths will never be identical because you're individuals. But I really wanted to inspire people and encourage them that whatever your grind is,
Mhm.
that you can get there, but you just got to remember there's a process to go through. But through the
Mhm.
process, don't give up. Failure is not the end. The end
Mhm.
is when you stop, not when things temporarily stop you.
Right, right. So, like I said, I love the video, and I've listened to that song probably a million times already, and it could be also because I'm partial to jazz
Yeah,
or anything instrumental, really,
yeah.
if it sounds good. And it is a great sounding song.
Thank you.
You wouldn't believe that I've gotten a lot of stuff done when I put in songs like that on my playlist. I
Yes,
get a lot done. Or if I pop in, you know, whatever. I just go into tunnel vision, and it does make you get into that tunnel vision mode while you're grinding, whatever it is that you're doing.
I'm glad I could
I've,
help.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much. No, but seriously, I could definitely play that every single time. And then it is emotionally resonant in the sense that in my opinion, or this is how I interpret instrumental, there is something in the music, and I don't have the term for it, but it can strike a chord
Yeah.
even without hearing the lyrics. And was that your goal also, even when you were writing the music for the grind? Did you want it to be emotionally resonant for your fans?
All my music I want to resonate emotionally.
Hmm.
And it won't resonate the same way with everybody. And not every song will resonate with everybody. And I understand that. But there are kind of two elements. There are more than that, but there are two key elements to my music in my mind. One, and this is not just mine. This encompasses all instrumental music.
Hmm.
Not taking shots at all at vocal music because everybody knows vocal music is king. Words have incredible power, and we all understand that. But the comparison I like to make is that instrumental music is the novel
Hmm.
that two or 10 people can read that same novel. And each one, though they're reading the exact same words, will all get different mental pictures and different
Hmm.
emotional responses from it. Where vocal music, as great as it is the movie adaptation of that novel. And what's key there is with the movie adaptation, those same two or 10 or 20 different people will sit there and watch the same movie, and you are forced to have the exact same visualization because it's on the screen.
Hmm.
So that's how I feel about instrumental music. The second part is that at least when I play my part on my instrument, most times, if not all times, but certainly most times, I this is going to sound really odd, but I become with my flute, I become the embodiment of the vocalist, and I believe that's why the music comes across the way it does, because
Hmm.
though there are no words, it's almost akin to attending an opera for the
Hmm.
average person. If you can appreciate what's being sung and hearing the beauty in the tones, now most operas in Italian. So unless you speak
Hmm.
Italian, you have no idea what they're trying to pass on, but you feel
Yeah.
something. So
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
closest comparison I can think of.
Yeah. That's the perfect comparison. So we have a snippet of the grind that we're going to play, and then we'll pick up with more questions. So we'll play the snippet for the grind right now. Awesome. Every time I hear that song, it never fails. It just makes you want to get up the road. That's it. That's the perfect song for being on the road, no matter where you're going. It really is. You could be going from state to state or just to run errands, and it's the music itself, just the melody, everything. It just makes you feel like, okay, I need to be doing something. I can get like 10 million things done listening to this.
It's funny you say that about being on the road, because this is the first project I've ever done where once it was finished, I felt compelled to put a warning label on the back of the CD, to inform everybody that I am not liable for you getting a speeding ticket. Because I know there are certain songs on this album, somebody's foot's
Mhm.
gonna get heavy. So, but yeah, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice vibe. Now,
Thank you.
what was your when you were making the video, what was your did you have a favorite part of the video that you enjoyed filming or no?
No, because I don't like being photographed or videographed. I don't like it, and Brandon knew it. I told him, it's like, so whenever we have to do a retake for whatever reason,
Hmm.
I'd have to suppress my emotions, because whatever I think shows here, and you can't have that on video. I don't, I've never liked it. I in fact, I remember since I was a little boy, and this
Hmm.
is going to sound odd being a performing artist, but this is
Hmm.
true. I never liked being the center of attention. I never liked knowing that someone is actually paying attention to what I'm doing. I just wanted to do it and,
Hmm.
like, okay, you can hear it, whatever, but I didn't want to know. And
Hmm.
my earliest recollection of that realization, I
Hmm.
was I was probably, I'm going to guess, around 10 years old, and we were, by we, my father and my brothers and we were in,
Hmm.
I think my bedroom, my youngest brother, our bedroom, and we were playing music. And my mother was somewhere else in the house. I don't know where she was, but where I was sitting, my back was against the wall, and the doorway to the bedroom was here.
Hmm.
And we're playing, and at some point, out of the corner of my eye, I catch movement. And what it was my mother had gone and gotten one of those old school tape recorders with a microphone. And
Hmm.
she's standing there with the microphone at me. And once I realized she was there doing that, the way I was playing completely changed. And everybody noticed it. I just, I felt uncomfortable. I just don't like being the center of attention like that. But, it's one of those things, if you're going to be an artist, you kind of got to get used to.
Yeah, you do, especially, when it comes to performing in front of a bunch of people, you're going to be on stage and all eyes are going to be on you.
Yeah, yeah. Which is
So,
one of the reasons why
mhm.
I don't like most spotlights because and I think I told you this one time. I like the spotlights that and almost nobody does them. I like the spotlights where there are two and they come from angles. I don't
Mhm.
like this dead center spotlight because it makes me paranoid. Because when that spot hits me in the face, I can't see because now the house lights are down, right? So the spot
Uh-huh.
is hitting me in the face and I can't see the audience. So I'm nervous thinking either since I can't see them, they're not enjoying the music or they done got up and walked out and I don't know it. So, yeah. I didn't say it would make sense. I just said that's what I think.
Oh my goodness. So, my last question on the grind, and then we'll move on to the jazz interpretation of Love the Way You Lie. But is there any type of feedback you hope to receive from the grind, from your fans?
Good question, but I don't think I ever intend to get feedback for a particular song per se.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no, that's never been on my mind. I think for every song that I write and or record, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of want the same, though it's not the same words because it wouldn't be the same. I want them to enjoy it and feel it and take
Mm-hmm.
something from it, whatever that is. There's no
Mm-hmm.
wrong answer, but there's no
Mm-hmm.
singular response that I'm looking for now.
Okay. And then you just leave whatever they glean from it open to their interpretation.
Absolutely. It's kind of like I guess in a way I call it audible abstract art. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Love the Way You Lie. Now, I really love this, but I love all your songs though.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's not because I'm partial.
Never that.
Look, look, I'm partial. You make good music.
Thank you.
You're one of many jazz artists who make really good music. And when you did Love the Way You Lie, I loved the jazz interpretation of that. So, how were you able to transform the emotional and musical elements from the original song into your interpretation of the song?
So here's what happened. Um, Obviously, it's a cover of Eminem and Rihanna.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, I think this happened when I was taking a shower. Whenever I take a shower, my iTunes is playing through my little
Mm-hmm.
JBL, and I was it was either then or I was driving my car, one or the other. And the song came on, and I loved the song, but for the first time, I heard something underneath that I never paid attention to before, and it was the music of the song.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Eminem's rapping. It wasn't Rihanna singing, though I love both of them on that song. For the first time, I appreciated what a pretty song it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, I got to do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so obviously, where Rihanna is singing, it was way easier to
Mm-hmm.
to lay the flute or flutes in this case, because I did the harmonies on Rihanna's part. And that's the part
Mm-hmm.
that everybody's going to recognize. What was not challenging, but now you've got to create something because where Rihanna's not singing, Eminem's rapping. So I knew I had to come up with something, though it's not the melody, something melodic to fill
Mm-hmm.
that space. And thank God for the ability with certain songs, and it had to be with every song that I've written of my own,
Mm-hmm.
to come up with something for the flute to say that corresponds and works with the rhythm section. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what came to be for me on that because to my recollection, where Rihanna actually sings, I don't think there's harmony. I don't think there is. At best, they may have chorused her voice or something like that, but I don't believe
Mm-hmm.
there's harmony. But I I heard in my mind, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, that would really sound pretty, even prettier
Hmm.
with harmonies. So
Yeah.
that's what we did.
So that's where the multiple flutes came into play. That sounded really nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so when it comes to writing the music, or how much of it did you have to rewrite for your interpret? Not a lot or none.
The only things that had to be the only things that had to be created that weren't there before
Mm,
were a lot of the synthesized string parts.
okay.
Um, so, for example, though they won't hear it in the snippet, you'll hear it in the actual song. On the intro, I wanted these really deep, dramatic orchestral strings.
Mm-hmm.
I've told many people my favorite instrument of all is actually the cello.
Mm-hmm.
Love the way a cello sounds. It's so rich and warm and deep and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted that. And so when my buddy came over to lay those for me, we actually laid those here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's Runthy Williams who played the synth strings for me. So when he came
Okay.
over here and laid those, he was there was there was something else I wanted, and it's kind of percussive strings in one of the
Mm-hmm.
verses. And then he did something else, just kind of playing around. And I'm like, yo, I need you to do that again, but I need you to do it like
Mm-hmm.
this. And then that went in. So we the string stuff is the only, other than the flute, obviously, is the only thing that had
Mm-hmm.
to be created anew for that song.
Okay. Okay. So you know what? We have a snippet of that song too. So we're going to go ahead and play that, and then I'll pick up with more questions regarding this song. That is a beautiful song. And I understand what you mean when you actually listen to the music behind the lyrics. And maybe that's why I'm partial to instrumental music, because
Yeah.
I tend to focus more on the music rather than the lyrics. Like
Yeah, like I
even
said,
in
it was
mhm,
odd because I've listened to that song for years,
mhm,
and and I just never got behind it. Um, because it wasn't intended to. When they made it was intended. Okay, this is M's part, and you're captivated by M and his delivery and all of that, and then it gets to Rihanna. Now you're captivated by Rihanna,
mhm,
but I know who wrote it. Just it escapes me at the moment, but
mhm,
the music is just it's so pretty, and I
mhm.
think most people they miss the beauty of the music in this song, especially that particular
Yeah,
song, because of
yeah,
everything else that's going on.
right, right. Absolutely. So were there any specific emotions or even an intellectual interpretation you wanted to evoke in your version of Love the Way You Lie?
Yeah. It's especially in two areas. Though everybody who knows the song, they know what Rihanna sings in the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to push that emotion further with my musical voice on the flute, plus the beauty of the harmonies. And then in the verses, where the flute had to be the entire storyline,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to push emotion there as well. And the reason why I even chose, other than the fact that I love the song, why I chose the song for the album is because remember the album title is Resilient. So the entire album, it tells a story. Every song title tells its part of that resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
with love the way you lie, um, this is not just me, but it is. But anybody that is going through their journey, their mission,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things, unfortunately, you're going to experience is folks gonna lie to you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and God knows there have been plenty of those. So the ability to push past that and continue after being lied to, disappointed, misled is a strong ingredient in the whole resilient scope.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think that this is one of those songs, just based on your jazz interpretation of it, that is, do you think or hope that fans would see it as one of those healing songs? Because it does go along with resilience. But my interpretation, for example, would be okay, someone who's broken,
Yeah,
and then they hear this song and it reignites something in them to not give up.
that that's that's always something I aspire to, and this is going to sound crazy almost, but I want them to also find beauty not in but out
Mm-hmm.
of the pain,
Mm-hmm.
and this lends itself to that. Um, it's kind of like if you think about when people say, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. It does if you choose to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you choose to just, oh, well, you know, it's a cloudy day, then, oh well, you'll be in the doldrums. So love the way you lie, kind of a strange title, of course. And of course nobody likes being lied to, but
Right.
it's kind of that, in a way, for me, the sarcasm in the title, because you
Mm-hmm.
know what, no, I don't love the way you lie, but I'm going to
Right.
give you that and just keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I do have one question, one in particular. Is it easier to reimagine instrumental pieces versus writing an entirely new piece for an original song? Which one is easier for you?
For me, none of it's easy. So let's flip it a little bit. Which one is not as easy or more difficult? I think it depends
Okay.
on the song,
Uh-huh.
and especially who did the song.
Okay.
Because I'm a firm believer that there are certain songs by certain artists you don't dare touch ever.
Mm-hmm.
Not to try and recreate, because
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately you will never do it as well as the original. Like anything Earth, Wind, and Fire did, just stay away from it. Uh, yeah, so that's a good question. I never thought about that, because I don't do a lot of covers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I do believe it's important that if you're going to take
Mm-hmm.
on the task of working on a cover, it's
Mm-hmm.
important to infuse as much of yourself into it as you can
Mm-hmm.
to try and pull the people's memory away from the original as much as possible without trying to compete with the original. I won't name names, but I remember an R&B singer who was on one of those competition shows not too long ago, and he's got a
Okay.
wonderful voice, and
Mm-hmm.
he committed to me what was a horrible musical sin. You're going to cover one of the most iconic songs by one of the most iconic R&B singers. you did a good job. But
Hmm.
bro, it's his song. And sorry, the best you're going to sound like is trying to, though he wasn't trying to, you're going to sound like a sheep imitation. So that's,
Oh,
you got to be careful to me.
ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And
Uh-huh.
to be fair,
Mhm.
when I redoing Love the Way You Lie, I didn't really forget really. I didn't approach that as a jazz
Mhm.
interpretation because technically, if you listen to it, virtually
Mhm.
everything I did, well, there was some jazz. Okay, there was some jazz, but it wasn't a full jazz interpretation.
Right, right.
It was more of an R&B instrumental interpretation.
Hmm.
That's I'll go with that. Yeah,
Yeah, let's go with that.
yeah.
But you feel like well, you did actually stay true to the original song. It's not like you completely changed it and gave us a completely different version where we couldn't tell
Right.
that it was Love the Way You Lie, but
Because we didn't change the background music at all. The background music
right,
was
right.
not changed. We added to it, like I said, with
Hmm.
the synth strings, but the background
Right.
music, and I personally thought it was important to maintain that for the
Hmm.
sake of song identity, because it's
Hmm.
harder to maintain song identity when it's a vocal song and then there are no vocals. I mean, if you want the
Hmm.
people to recognize the song, then you got to
Right.
maintain as much of the identity, I think, as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So in doing the Love the Way You Lie, did it spark any new ideas or directions for future projects similar to that, or you're done with covers?
No, I won't. There's no yay or nay either way on that because, like I said, it's not my first cover. Um,
Mhm.
but but to be honest, when I set out to record the Resilient Project,
Mhm.
I had no aspirations of any covers. I really
Okay.
did. It really came about. Like I said, one day I was wherever I was and heard the song, and I'm like, ooh. And then also as a result of, I believe, I believe there are at least about three songs
Mhm.
that had recorded with the intent of putting them on the Resilient Project that I wound up having
Mhm.
to pull them off because they didn't
Okay.
fit
Okay.
they didn't fit the vibe of the album project to me. So they're
Hmm.
shelved right now for the next project. In fact, I
Okay.
was in touch with one of my producers today, who's also one of my mix engineers, and let him
Hmm.
verifying with him, hey, we're greenlighting starting the mixing on such and such song, and yeah, so um,
Hmm.
maybe in the future, it's likely there could be an. I mean, this the first pop cover. I think this was. I think it was the first. I think it was because I've even covered
Hmm.
"Yesterday" by the Beatles um, in a way that I'm sure the Beatles never imagined it would have been done. But people can recognize, oh yeah, that's "Yesterday," even before the vocals come in towards the end of the song. But
Okay.
yeah.
Now, for the Resilient album itself in its entirety, I'm not sure, you may have told me already before, but did you choose a specific single? What do they call that when you have a complete album, but then you
Mhm.
have like the showstopper song or the single that you want to push off that album?
Good question. And somebody asked me that question just in the last couple of days, and I had to be very diplomatic in my answer because you never know
Uh-oh.
who's listening. Um, so here's the reality of, or some of the reality of the music business, and this does, from my understanding, this does not change
Hmm.
much, if at all, if you're an independent or if you're signed to a label. If you're an independent, you have a little bit more, you have more say in the music, you have total say in the music that goes on your album. That that authority gets taken away by and large when you're with a label. Unless there's some clause in your contract where you maintain 100% creative control. Good
Mhm.
luck with that.
Wow.
When it comes to what goes to radio, and this has happened to me more than one time, and this is not a shot at independent radio promoters. It's not. But the
Mhm.
reality is, as the artist, you feel, and your team may feel that that's a hit. Maybe
Mhm.
they're all hits, but that's the hit. And that's the one we want to push to radio. Here's your problem. How do you get it to radio? There are some radio stations that will deal directly with the artist. Most, especially the ones what we call the reporting stations, those are the
Mhm.
ones that's how you chart. Most of them do not deal directly with the artist. They will only deal with a radio promoter whom they have a standing business relationship with.
Okay.
That radio promoter
Mhm.
knows what they feel comfortable with bringing to the radio station and what more than likely the radio station is what is going to feel comfortable playing. And
Mhm.
oftentimes their position and yours will be diametrically opposed. So, for example, on my previous project on Relentless, Relentless never went to radio. The song never went to radio. Unstoppable, which I think was off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, was the hottest song on the album. The funny part was, and I pushed my radio promoter a little bit on that one, but I had to kind of meet him in the middle because the intro to Unstoppable starts with a distorted rock guitar, which he knew Smooth Jazz Radio would not accept. So I had my producer give me an alternate intro. It was still a guitar, no distortion. In fact, even the intro notes he played was even different. Um,
Okay.
so the only time anybody, to my recollection, has a physical copy of that,
Mhm.
they had to have gotten the single. Um,
Mhm.
but there's that difference. Hey, I intend this, but I got to get through you, and you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So,
Now let's go back because I'm curious to know when you said that there was a distorted guitar. Why would smooth jazz not play that? Does it completely change the genre, or I'm just curious to know. I just want you to tell me.
when have you ever heard what's called an overdrive? That screaming rock guitar on a smooth jazz track? Have you ever?
Well,
No, don't
the
bother.
only
No, you
okay,
haven't.
so Carlos Santana doesn't count. Well, I
Carlos
guess it's not
Santana doesn't use that.
screaming.
He doesn't use that rock distortion thing. Now he'll have effects. Every guitar player
Yeah.
has a bank of effects pedals. Yeah,
So
but
what's the difference? Because to me, I when he gives off rock. I mean, I don't. I'm not well versed in this, but
Carlos
in the
Santana could
genre, but
play probably if he wanted to. Carlos Santana could probably play any genre he wanted to on his guitar. He probably could.
okay. So he's not just compartmentalized into this one box of jazz.
No,
Okay.
no, 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 and don't forget the group Santana. I don't know if you've ever gotten the opportunity to experience them live, whether in person or on TV.
No. Mm-mm.
Incredible! Oh my goodness! I mean, they were even on one of a public television's fundraising drives. They did a whole concert, but there's some of the movers and shakers, some, not all, but some of the movers and shakers in the smooth jazz realm, they seem to be more inclined to push towards easy listening, and only easy
Oh,
listening can be smooth
okay.
jazz. Okay,
Wow.
well, and some of them push so hard and so far
Mhm.
until it becomes elevator music and doctor's office music. And I've never known anybody to be inspired by elevator music or doctor's office music, with the exception of being
Hey,
inspired to
hey.
get out of the doctor's office chair. That's all. That's only inspiration to get, like, or the dentist's office. Yeah, can we get me out of this chair for the love of God? Hurry up!
Hey,
But uh,
elevator music.
it's like, do you know anybody that gets on an elevator, hears elevator music, and then rides the elevator up and down because they don't want the music to stop? No, that doesn't happen. So, but anyway, I digress. So, so there are those in the industry who want to make a monolith of
Okay.
smooth jazz. And I don't, I just don't believe that in any art form, there's
Mm-hmm.
room for a monolith. I mean, if you look at classical music,
Mm-hmm.
where all Western music is born from,
Mm-hmm.
Mozart didn't sound anything like Tchaikovsky, who didn't
No.
sound anything like Vivaldi, who didn't sound anything like
Mm-hmm.
Beethoven, but it's all classical and it's lived for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we so narrow minded where,
Yeah.
oh, no, 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 don't syncopate that, and oh, that instrument doesn't belong in this genre. Oh, why not? It's
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
not my decision. I'm not a mover and shaker. I'm just a musician.
Okay. With that said, okay, so what do you hope audiences connect with most deeply in your work?
There's no one singular thing for me. This is the first album I've done where I'm skimming my brain real quick, where there's no ballad. There's almost always a ballad, at least one ballad on a project. There's no ballad on this project. There was going to be, but it got pulled.
By
Other than
you?
that, oh yeah, I have full creative control, but on the sound advice of my what I who I refer to as my music barometer, which is my youngest daughter, Tiffany. Uh,
Okay.
Tiffany Tiffany will tell me if a song is hitting or not, or if certain things
Okay.
are working together or not. And Tiffany can't play an instrument to save her life, but she's got this incredible God-given gift of an ear, and I rely on
Uh-huh.
it heavily. But there's no ballad here, so
Mm-hmm.
everything on this album has got some kind of a groove to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the groove, there's emotion and there's message and there's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody can pick their own thing, either singularly from a song or in various spots on the album. But I had no singular target I was aiming for.
Okay. Do you think that well, obviously, all your songs on the Resilient album tell a story.
Yes,
And did you put them in any specific order to tell
yes,
that story?
yes.
Okay.
Which is why it starts with Resilient
Hmm.
and ends with Thrive. Thrive would have been out of place anywhere else on the album in the song list.
Hmm.
How am I thriving? Because I'm telling a story. How am I thriving when the next song is, for example, No More?
Hmm.
No, they should switch places.
Hmm.
So, and again, because Resilient is in a lot of ways a continuation of the Relentless story,
Hmm.
um, it had to, song by song, tell tell the story. So yeah, it follows through. So the only exception, I don't want to call it exception, Road Trip EDM, that could have been anywhere on the album. That really
Hmm.
could, because a road trip is a journey, and
Hmm.
your journey never really ends. It never really
Yeah,
does.
that's true. That's
So
true. Okay, well, we are going to wrap up. Thank you for coming back to do part two of your interview.
Thank you.
And for those who are listening, or for all your viewers and listeners, if you all want to purchase the Resilient album that dropped on August 16th, they can go to dejmusic.com. I am so sorry. I'm
You
so
gonna get
tempted to say.
you gonna get French on me? Dej musique.
Yes, let's make it sound fancy. Dej Music, but dejmusic.com,
Absolutely.
and they can order the album now. And for those who are just listening for the first time to this interview, where can they follow you on social media?
Facebook, go to Darryl Evan Jones Music. On Instagram at Darryl Evan Jones, and TikTok, which I'm finding is actually getting way more traction and attention than Instagram somehow, but it is
Mhm.
Darryl Evan Jones, Darryl Evan Evan Jones.
Okay, and I do want to ask one more question before we finally wrap up Pinky Promise.
Okay.
Do you have any idea, or have you decided on which song on this album you're going to do the next video for? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have mixed emotions about doing videos. Forget what I said before. That's still true. But for
I know.
as a
Mhm.
businessman, I have mixed emotions about it because and one of my suspicions I actually vetted with a friend of mine, and the suspicion was, or the mindset was, because I was about to shoot a video for Road Trip, had the whole storyboard, all the treatments in my mind, everything lined up. So I called a friend of mine, or yeah, I called a friend of mine, and I asked, if you heard a song on YouTube and you were really digging that song,
Mhm.
when you wanted to hear it again, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm going to go back to YouTube. I said, aha, exactly my point. When the goal is, as the artist, no, I want you to go and buy the song. I really want you to buy the album. But if you're
Yes.
only going to buy the song, please buy the song, because
Yeah.
what most people don't understand, because they don't have a reason to, is that the artist and or copyright holder
Mhm.
makes percentages of a penny on streams. So unless you're a Beyonce or
Mhm.
Taylor Swift, you would die of starvation from streams because there's no money there. So YouTube, yeah, easy access, and you don't have to own it, so you don't have to pay for it. So I'm very, very reluctant to actually make video content like that, knowing that
Okay.
the upside is limited at best. I mean, think about it. Why does MTV music television, why is only about 10% of their programming music videos? They were founded on music videos, and now only
Yeah,
about
they were.
10% of all their programming is music videos because it flipped and it's not lucrative
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I guess I'm in that 10% that show their support, because that's how I feel about YouTube. Like, even though I will buy an album, I don't have a problem buying the album or even downloading, the songs, because I like to be able to take it wherever I go. But
exactly.
I'm also a visual person too. So I'm in that 10% who are visual people. So I'm always curious to know I want to know how this looked visually when they had this song in mind. That's
Well,
why I go to YouTube.
okay, that's a good premise, but here's where what you may not be considering.
Mhm.
That's on the assumption that once a video is produced, that video was the artist's mental picture, and it's usually not. It's
Okay.
it's the video director's mental picture. So
Yeah.
Now that would be different with me as an independent, and
Yeah.
especially being as
Yeah.
visual as I am.
Hmm.
I'm looking at it from the standpoint of what is my upside as
Hmm.
opposed to my potential downsides. And there seem to be
Hmm.
more downsides than potential upsides. So that's why I'm
Okay.
not to say I won't. I ain't done it yet.
Uh-huh.
I I'm not in a hurry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Darryl, for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show. And you all heard where you can follow him just to stay up to date on what he is doing, his latest projects, and get the album at dejmusic.com. Follow him at Darryl Evan Jones on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, correct?
Darryl Evan Jones Music on Facebook. It's the
Darryl
only one that has the word
Evan
music
Jones
in it.
Music.
Yeah, because
We'll
don't do the friends
definitely
thing. Yeah, that doesn't really help me. So
but we'll definitely put that information, all of that information, including Darryl, dejmusic.com, in the description box. And don't forget to subscribe and click on your notification bell as well. Thank you.
thank you.
Good night, all.